August 1914, a world unraveling, and an American president standing still against the tide of history. The summer of 1914 was unlike any the world had known. Europe, with all its regal houses, long-standing rivalries, and deeply interwoven alliances, was slipping into the abyss of war. One by one, great empires were swept into the fray. Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia, Russia mobilized in defense of its Slavic ally, and Germany unleashed its armies westward through neutral Belgium toward France. Britain, bound by honor and treaties, joined in. The continent thundered with the movement of men, horses, and steel. Across the Atlantic Ocean, in the calm, sunlit halls of the White House, a different kind of storm was stirring. A storm not of battlefields and bullets, but of diplomacy, restraint, and political resolve. President Woodrow Wilson, the austere former university president and scholar, now found himself staring into the jaws of history. The world was at war. In the eyes of the American people, immigrants from all corners of Europe, businessmen, pacifists, veterans, farmers, turned to him. Would the United States be drawn into the bloodshed? Or would it hold to its principles? On August 4, 1914, the very day Britain officially entered the conflict, President Wilson met with his cabinet and close advisors. The room was tense. Reports of troop movements flooded in. Ships were being sunk in European waters. Wall Street shuddered with fear. The financial centers of the world braced for collapse. And Americans, still remembering the bloody scars of the Civil War, feared what this new global conflict might demand of them. Wilson listened. He weighed. And then, as his moral compass always compelled him to do, he acted. Just 2 days later, on August 6, 1914, Wilson issued what would come to be known as the Proclamation of Neutrality. His words were not loud. They did not echo like the roar of cannons or the cry of soldiers. But they were clear, measured, resolute. The United States must be neutral in fact as well as in name, Wilson declared. We must be impartial in thought as well as in action. This was more than policy. It was a call to conscience. In the proclamation, Wilson warned all American citizens to refrain from taking sides in the growing conflict. He reminded them that the United States was not at war, that America had no quarrel with any nation involved, and that impartiality was not only a legal obligation, it was a moral necessity. Behind his calm delivery, however, lay an acute awareness of the dangers ahead. Wilson understood that neutrality would be tested. The United States was a nation of immigrants, Germans, Irish, English, French, Italians, all with loyalties, passions, and histories tied to the old world. Public opinion was already fracturing. German Americans sympathized with the Kaiser. Irish Americans opposed Britain. Others saw Germany as a militaristic threat. Editorials in New York and Chicago warred on their front pages. But Wilson believed neutrality was essential, not just to avoid entanglement, but to preserve America's unique position in the world. He believed the United States could be a broker of peace, a light of reason in a world overcome by hatred. In his mind, the war was a European tragedy, and America, with its distance and diversity, had a duty to stay above the fray. Yet neutrality, as Wilson would soon learn, was more complicated than a proclamation. In the weeks that followed, challenges mounted. British warships began searching American cargo vessels suspected of aiding Germany. German U-boats prowled the Atlantic, threatening any ship, neutral or not, that crossed their path. American businessmen lobbied for the right to sell weapons and supplies to the Allies. Banks saw opportunity in financing Britain's war debt. Wilson stood firm. He reiterated that the U.S. would trade with all belligerents, so long as it was allowed. But when Britain blockaded German ports, effectively cutting off American trade with the Central Powers, neutrality grew harder to maintain. Then came the sinking of the Lusitania in 1915, a British passenger ship torpedoed by a German submarine, killing over 1,000 civilians, including 128 Americans. Across the nation, public outrage erupted. Calls for war intensified. Newspapers cried for vengeance. Congress debated military buildup. But even then, Wilson held the line. He chose diplomacy. He sent stern warnings to Germany. He demanded assurances that civilian vessels would not be targeted again. But he did not declare war. He did not abandon neutrality. Instead, he told the American people, There is such a thing as a man being too proud to fight. Critics scoffed. Supporters cheered. But the course remained steady. For nearly 3 years, Wilson's Proclamation of Neutrality stood as a testament to American restraint. A policy crafted not from weakness, but from wisdom. A declaration of hope that the United States could avoid the horrors of trench warfare, mustard gas, and mass death. And for a time, it worked. America stayed out. It traded. It grew stronger. It watched. But history, like a tide, does not wait forever. By early 1917, Germany resumed unrestricted submarine warfare, targeting neutral ships. American vessels were sunk. American lives lost. And then, the Zimmermann telegram, a secret German offer to Mexico to attack the U.S., was intercepted and revealed. The illusion of neutrality crumbled. On April 2, 1917, Wilson went before Congress, his voice steady but somber, and asked for a declaration of war. The world had changed. Neutrality, once noble, was now impossible. Still, the memory of that August in 1914 remained. Wilson's proclamation of neutrality was not a failure. It was a holding line, a moral stand in a world gone mad. It allowed the United States to prepare, to reflect, to rise. And when the time came, it entered the war not as a divided nation, but as one that had done all it could to avoid conflict. In that proclamation, Wilson had asked Americans to think not with vengeance, but with vision. And for a brief moment, the world listened.